All right, welcome. This is Goddess Flow Feminine Functional Fitness. We are going to focus on, excuse me, we're going to focus on deep unwinding meridian yoga practices. So deep unwinding is a practice where we can, similar to positional release, where we shorten muscles of our body that are being held in a over-tension state. So this oftentimes will be the back of the body. So if we're rounded forward, the back of the body is being pulled long, weak and tight. And the front of our body is often short, weak and tight. So we're not strong anywhere, right? And we're tight everywhere. Either we're long and tight or we're short and tight. So what we want to do is rebalance. So the back of our body muscles can naturally strengthen as they move back into position and, shorten, and the front of our body can naturally lengthen. And then we can have a balanced strength and flexibility throughout our torso. So the first thing we're going to do is get set up, and that is going to look like having a relatively soft space. You can do this on the ground as long as you have enough support, or you can do it on your bed or a couch or anywhere else. So what we're going to focus on first is the front and back of the body. So this is something I call reclaiming the temple, because it opens up our pelvis, opens up our chest, opens up the entire front of the body so that we can reconnect our pelvis, our belly, our heart, our throat, and our brain, the 5 feminine centers of the body, and access their power. So it's a really powerful practice. So I have a nice puffy pillow, and I'm just going to put another one underneath that. Somehow it got wet. It's been raining so intensely here the last few days. Everything is wet, I think, in my space right now. So this is probably not enough pillows for me, but I'm going to use it so that you can see how I get set up. So I have these pillows tucked under my hips. Right? Just kind of lift up a little bit so they're actually underneath the sacrum. Okay? And then lift through your core, engage your girdle, and let yourself begin to roll back. Okay? So I have my legs crossed right now. You can have them straight out, or you can have them sole to sole in a bound angle position. If you're in a bound ankle position, and it is too much of a stretch on your groin, on your inner thighs, just put some pillows under your legs. You want it high enough that you feel a nice stretch, low enough that you feel a nice stretch, but high enough that you can hold that stretch for a longer period of time, at least a couple minutes. I have my head resting on the bed, but you can have a pillow under your head, under your neck, or you can even roll up a towel and put it under your neck for support. So we're going to hold this position for at least 2 minutes, if not longer. You can hold it for as long as it feels good. The key is that when you are coming out of it, you want to move very slowly, because the longer we hold it, the more we're going to get a readjustment of our fascia, our connective tissue, in both the front and back of the body. And our fascia can be a little irritable. It tends to take a long time to reform. It's kind of like plastic. When we heat plastic, it will be able to reform, but if we move it too fast, it can be brittle. So we want to move slowly with it. We want to allow it to soften and lengthen or shorten. So we're shortening it in the back, lengthening in the front. It's kind of like, so if we have the front and back of our body here, and the front is really tight and the back is long, it's pulling the back in an arch. And so we want to move it more in this direction so we can have a nice strong alignment for our spine. That will support our head so that we get less headaches and we have less tension. We have better clarity, memory, and focus, as well as radiant beauty. And it will help to align our pelvis so that we have less hip pain, more circulation going to our legs and feet, so we have warmer feet and stronger legs, as well as allowing more contractive and relaxation pleasure, more orgasmic pulsation potential in our pelvis. Remembering to breathe. We're letting go. So we're not drawing the core energy up so much right now. This is a very deeply relaxed state. We're unwinding. We're letting go of core tension. Remembering to breathe. Sigh it out if you need. This is a great time to gently stroke your thighs or your belly, or do some nice soft rubbing. More of an honoring practice than a therapeutic massage at this point. Although we can do some gentle kneading, tops of our thighs, our sides, and hold our heart and our womb, whatever feels good. So this is about what best supports you and unwinding your core tension. Because when we have core tension, we're not going to be able to access our core energy and to use it to lift up, to draw upward, which is very important for our radiant health. Nice deep breath, sighing it out as you need. So this practice is so powerful. It's so easeful. We are getting a readjustment all throughout our torso. It's going to have effects on our upper and lower body, and effects on our core energy, our ability to function throughout the day without a deep fatigue, because we're releasing this deep tension that just having to hold it takes so much of our energy. So when we release the need to hold that deep tension because it's not there anymore, or it's a lot less, we can use that energy for other things. We can use it for our business. We can use it for our relationships. We can use it for our own pleasure. We can use it for intimacy. At some point during this practice, it's good to hold this initial posture for at least a couple minutes. But at some point you'll start feeling like, oh, okay, I want to wiggle or move. You can do a little bit of primal movements. So I'm doing right now some side to side, some shaking. But beyond that, you may get a desire to start moving your arms and legs, or to twist. And that is all wonderful. After those 2 minutes, if your body is giving you a signal like, okay, I feel like I want to move in some way, explore that movement. Make it as fluid and graceful as possible. So move nice and slow. Initiate your core before you move, especially your legs, especially if your legs are open out to your knees are open out to the side. So if I am ready to come out, or I want to initiate a more spontaneous movement, let's say I want to move my left leg first, I'm going to draw in my core and my girdle, then I can lift up. This is especially important if you have any pelvic floor dysfunction or pubis symphysis dysfunction. If you do have pubis symphysis dysfunction, it's best to not have your legs spread too far apart while that is healing. But this posture in general can be great for it. So it feels good to have my knee up, and it feels good to move to one side a little bit. So I'm just opening to my right side, twisting my left arm open. And it feels good to just kind of explore that. So I'm already starting to feel a bit of orgasmic potential build up, a bit of pleasure pulsing naturally happening in my low back. And I can amplify that if I want from this place. Oh, and it feels good to go to the other side. It might feel good to curl up and then go back down. So whatever feels good. This is the unwinding part of the practice. So oftentimes, I'm just going to come up now, nice and slow. So oftentimes when we have a lot of internal tension, our fascia, the connective tissue that runs throughout our body, it will often get wound up. And this can be in many different planes. So it can be horizontal, it can be vertical, it can be diagonal, or it can be a spiral. We often have spirals of fascia throughout our body. So there's not really any one correct way to move spontaneously. We're following the instruction, we're following the wisdom of our bodies at that point. I do lead more guided sessions for deep unwinding practices, and I'm happy to do that with you if you like. But the power really is just in reconnecting with your body and following your breath, following your intuition, and doing it gently so that your body has a chance to really soften like it may never have before. And once we soften in those ways and that tension is released, we can often more deeply access not only our core energy, but a very deep source of wisdom. Because we have these centers of wisdom in our body. In our pelvis, we have, it's a priestess. It's a connection with the earth that has so much ancient wisdom. We have our gut, our mother energy in our body that is soul nourishing and supportive and wise in that way. We have the queen energy in our heart, who is always there for us, who is always willing to serve us in her royal capacity so that we can find our strength. We have our crone, who is our throat and our mind, our ability to speak and not give a fuck what other people say. And oh, is she wise. And we have our goddess, our overarching feminine energy, who has access to the infinite ancient codes, the universal codes for us to draw from. So as we release this tension and get back into our body, find our alignment, lift our core energy, draw on our girdle, and feel amazing, we are also activating this deep sense of connection from the past into the future, drawing them into the now. So it's a really potent practice. I invite you to practice it whenever you feel called to. At least a few times a week is good to start. If you can do it every day for even just a few minutes, that's great too. It's a really great way to unwind, literally, before bed. And you can also do it when you wake up in the morning or on a break throughout the day. It's one of the practices I actually incorporate into my 5-minute goddess power nap. So if you have just a few minutes during a break or around lunchtime, you can move into this posture, do some primal movements, and your energy will feel a lot better, as well as your physical body. So give it a try. Let me know how it goes. And if you have any questions or want to dive deeper, I'm here for you.